It's the Indie Horror Junkie Podcast, your source for anything and everything indie horror. Here's your host, Otis B. Dreads. All right, here we go. It's 8 o'clock. Do you know where your indie horror is? It's right here. It's right here, the Indie Horror Junkie Podcast. I am Otis B. Dreads. That is Rotting Ricky D. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, my friend. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. I love the little critter there on your shoulder almost there.
Yeah, I just wish he would stay in place. You know, it's every other night he's finding himself somewhere else, but we're all good.
Oh, well, that sounds like a show topic, maybe. I don't know.
Probably is.
Speaking of show topics, we got a good one tonight. We have dual guests. We have and I should have actually confirmed how. I think it's is it Guggino?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay, she's shaking her head yes in the green. Right? Okay, I'm close enough. Monique Guggino, okay, and Shelly Stokes. I have that written down here, and I just, for some reason, it's like a guy with a map. We don't need a map, it's right here. I know my show map, my show notes right here, and I still don't look at them. But anyway, Monique and Shelly, we have a lot to talk about. Wicked Windows production, Shock Reel Cinema Film Festival, which is at Phantasm in Orlando, down in your neck of the woods, Ricky. And so we got lots to talk about, of course. All things indie horror. But before we do that, we have some links down there that you should take note of. A lot of them will bring you to this show, which is where else do you want to be on a Wednesday evening at 8 p.m.?
That's right.
You're home for everything and of indie horror, and we have a new link that's actually down there. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but if you haven't, here it is. It's the we are over there on Buzzsprout, and you will see it pop up here. Just let's see, and go. I believe that's it right there. Indie Horror Junkie, the podcast.buzzsprout.com. If you go over there, well, you can help support our habits and subscribe to the podcast. We are all junkies here. And,
absolutely.
And we need support, and we need help with our habits. So you could be so kind to subscribe to the show, and hey, we'll see how this goes. But this also, it doesn't just involve that, Rick. Because I was kind of new to Buzzsprout. This kind of takes and puts us in a lot more different places, such as iTunes and such. Do you want to clarify that for the listening and viewing audience?
Absolutely. I mean, I use Buzzsprout for my other podcast, which is the No Sleep Tonight horror podcast, but it's just audio only. So, but the good thing about that, because now we've got the audio version of these shows being pumped over there to the Buzzsprout site. But since it's just audio only, I am enabling to be able to go ahead and put it in places like iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all those different podcasts. There's so many different channels now that we subscribe to today alone, and we had 10 downloads, including a download from Japan, in the first couple hours. So, I mean, as they start to filter out there, that just gives us a way to be able to get our podcasts out to that many more people. But in the description on the page there, I make sure to let them know that if you want to actually see the video, see the people, the guests, the special guests, and the trailers that we seem to show every episode, you can head on over to the YouTube page and catch the reruns there. But at least this opens us up to more people being able to hear our ramblings and support our habits.
Support our habits. That's just so funny. And this does make it easier if you want to listen on your drive into work, catch up on some past episodes. It does make it a lot easier to listen to it in just audio form. A lot of cars you can connect to your car or your phone to your car or whatever. So yes, please go over there, support our habits. A couple other things I'd like to mention before we get to our guests. The Indie Horror Junkie magazine has a special Friday the 13th issue. Who says Friday the 13th is unlucky? If you're an indie horror junkie fan, this is a very lucky day. October 13th, this year's Friday the 13th, or at least one of them. What can we expect in this issue, Rick?
Well, basically, first off, just to let you know, the magazine comes out every 2 months. We put it out on the 13th day of every other month. The only exception to that rule is a month that falls with a Friday the 13th. Then we put a special edition out. That's why we had our last edition was out in September, and we're going to have a new Friday the 13th edition out in October, and then we're back on schedule with a November edition. So as far as the Friday the 13th edition, one of the big things we're going to have in there is we're going to have a little article on our podcast. I'm going to head and put us in there, describe what we do on our podcast, the different guests that we have, what to expect there. Basically, we've got the magazine to introduce people to all these different productions, artists, authors, and everything. Going in-depth articles, introducing them to these people and their works. So you can go see them. With the podcast, we try to take it to a different level where we actually bring some of these people on, discuss what they're doing. We have a lot of information for filmmakers. Like when we had Krista on here, we went for a full hour. We could have gone 3 hours with her talking about the distribution aspect.
Last week when we had Ash Hamilton on, that was very informative if you're a young filmmaker.
Absolutely. So we try to take it to a little bit of a different level with the podcast like that. We just want to be able to try and bring everybody, as we always say, anything and everything indie horror related, and try and show it to you from every angle possible.
Absolutely. And I have one quick note before we get into the meat and taters of the show. I am actually, if this gets funded, but I'm actually going to have my first little role in front of the camera for Hellvirus Haunted Asylum of Horror. Morgan Wellborn, the director. We got a campaign going right now on Kickstarter, and we hit our last stretch goal, but there's only 3 days to hit the next one. So it's going to be tough moving on. But with that being said, he's not giving up. Morgan is a very tenacious director. He's going to get this film made because it is his first feature. So he's starting a Indiegogo on October 1st. So we're just going to keep rolling with the campaigns to try and get this thing funded. So, if you feel so inclined, you can go check out the one that's live right now on Kickstarter, Hellvirus Haunted Asylum of Horror. All right. That was my shameless plug. So, Ricky, we got, as I mentioned, 2 guests. It's the first time for the podcast, but it's sure to be great, which I love having 2 guests because that's just less talking I have to do.
Yeah, they're great people. I mean, the crowd's and the people watching are gonna get to meet them. I've known both of them for many, many years. They used to run the Necronomicon Film Festival, the Creature Feature Challenge that I was a part of a couple of years. They come to all of our festivals that we have. They go to everybody else's. They're just those kind of people that you can't help but like because they support everybody. They had their own Phantasm Orlando, and they invited us and gave us a table there to promote our Florida HorrorCon. So we're going to reciprocate with them as well. And I think everybody else needs to be a lot like these 2 ladies, and I can't wait to get them on here.
Yeah, absolutely. We have, as I mentioned, Wicked Window Productions is their, I'm thinking they're co-owners there of this. And I will, when we come back, you will see their link to their YouTube. I was actually watching it earlier in a video that came out just a few years back in 2020, and had a bunch of little shorts and whatnot. And I was legitimately, laughing, at some of the stuff that I was seeing. I mean, in a good way. It was very humorous. Maybe
really well done.
That. But here is let's just get to them. Here's a clip or a trailer for Wicked Window Productions. That is great. Welcome, ladies. Welcome, Shelly. Welcome, Monique.
Thank you. Hey.
I did and I can't remember because there were so many names in that clip. We seen some of the things that I was watching earlier. When he rips open his shirt, it's like the dynamic the guy, the one guy in the blue shirt that was in the back, he had me laughing so hard at times. Is he naturally that funny when you
Yes.
He is.
Yes. 1,000 times. Monique, you could give some away, but man, even in casual conversation. Yes.
Because it really seemed like that was his personality. It didn't even seem like he was acting. That's why I had to ask.
Oh, yeah, because he's technically not an actor. I met him through Toastmasters at work. And I was like, I need to have you on something. And he just totally made that character. So I'm so happy I did that.
It was well worth a watch.
He actually later on, once he came on for that, he actually helped join the writing room. So a lot of stuff was some of his flavor added into it with the other people who were writing. So it almost became him as the whole character. They were merged at some point.
Wow.
That's great. That's great. We do have let's see who we have here. Howard Hawkins. Hello, Indie Junkies.
Hey.
Chris, hello. And that is Molly Zombie. I have my laptop over here. For some reason it doesn't come up on here, but I can watch it over here. Howard, horror indie actor here. Going to sign up right after this. Okay.
He's with the DBS Studio guys. He's been in some of their work.
Okay. All right. Denise, welcome. Relaxing with some indie horror. Thank you for being here. And one more. This podcast is excellent. Well, thank you, Chris. Keep investing in more augmented integrated features and keep it up. It will grow a following. Thank you so much. We enjoy doing it. And hey, let's just start off with Wicked Window Productions. Beans, that was the trailer that we just viewed. Who wants to start? How did this come about? Because I noticed, Monique, it was on your I believe IMDb that you guys have like volunteers that come in and help. They don't even want paid. Tell us all about this.
Yes. I don't think I should be proud of this exactly, but we were made up of a group of people that just have passionate about filmmaking, and we got together and created Wicked Window Productions. It actually got started with our love and passion for Supernatural, the TV show. And I was like, I have a vision of the show that we can make. We're going to make a parody of Ghost Hunters from Supernatural. And then I was like, Shelly, I know you like Supernatural too. We were like super close with Supernatural stuff. And I was like, I need you to be in this and I need you to give a handshake. You just need to be in bed. No, actually, yours wasn't the handshake, was it? Not in this one.
No, you're mixing two stories, but they're close enough we can go with it.
They all run together.
Yeah, they run. You're mixing the Niveus commercial with Ghost Facers one.
Come on, can't we all get along here?
So you're right. It was the commercial first that we did. And I was like, okay, Shelly, you need to be on this. And then we're like, this was so much fun. So then I started doing the Ghost Facer series. And then I was like, okay, I think it's time for us to take the next step and actually make a short film. And that's how it started rolling and growing from there. But yeah, I mean, the team, they're incredible. And we haven't filmed it a little bit, but seeing where they are now, it's awesome. It's so rewarding to see that.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Howard says, Monique, let's go. He loves the concept.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're very well done. I've seen a couple of the shorts. They're very well done because you could see and you could hear. I mean, the stories themselves, you can kind of feel it play out, before they even, get going. It just doesn't come across as something that's, just kind of hashed together or whatever it is. You guys really, you can tell the passion, you can see the passion and feel it, and you get some good actors, and you have some really cool special effects. Something that really kind of makes you say, "Yeah, look what you can do with no budget." I love it.
That is completely true. Monique, you go on your side.
Yeah, a lot of that is my husband that did all of the digital effects for the films, and then we got a lot of help for the physical effects, because with horror movies, that's what makes it, right? The digital effects and the physical effects. And when you can marry both of them, then you can make some magic happen.
Yeah, we've been lucky to work with a lot of different FX people and in different roles and different times, and it usually always turns out pretty well. Some things, over time and you figure it out, it's like, okay, maybe that didn't shoot right and maybe that didn't lit right or something, but there's always something that makes it better. And every time you see it, you're like, I can't believe I did that. Or I can't believe not really but we did that. Since, when you're seeing it and you're putting it together, it kind of feels sterile at that point. It's like shots and frames. But when you get it for that first good cut with like not even great whatever, but like the score and that first good cut, even before the FX, you can feel coming. And then the next level with the FX, it's like, oh my God, now you feel like a real movie, I guess is the best way of saying it. And it gets everyone excited. So yeah.
So what is when you guys are putting together a short or whatever you're filming, what are your guys' roles? Do you guys share like director roles? Is there
No.
something that you do, Shelly, more so than Monique? What's the story here?
Monique, I'll let you start and then I'll go next.
So Shelly is our full-time producer. So
Okay.
everything that we do, Shelly produces. So she has the dirty work where she rolls up her sleeves, organizes everything, and coordinates and does all the logistical stuff, and has to manage me, which I typically do a lot of the directing. And when I put magic on the schedule, because I have no idea how we're going to record that shot, but I really want it. And then Shelly has to figure out how we're going to be able to actually record that. So, but
and then we get Nikki to figure out what magic means between producer and director. And we come in between there. So first AD is Nikki.
Yeah, so we do typically have specific roles for people, but we also try to give them opportunities. Like with Wicketober, we had different people direct short films, and we got a chance to work with teams outside of our own team. So that was pretty exciting to do. And we love to have some of our behind the scenes people work in front of the screen to give them a little bit of time to shine.
That's awesome. And that sounds like, where the volunteer, maybe concept, people who, have that passion to get involved in filmmaking in some way, shape, or form. But maybe don't have, the finances. And they, I mean, what do your volunteers, do? Do they work directly on set with you when you guys are doing stuff? Are they, editing behind a computer? I mean, what kind of stuff? It just depend on their skill set.
Shelly, you want to take this one?
Oh, geez. Yeah, basically everyone is a volunteer in some way. No, even what we do is responsibilities by people, and that is basically how we learn it. And if we did say if we ever made money, we would reinvest it with, make breakout things so we could carry on, but reinvest it to people. But we never got to that point. If that ever happens, that's what we do. But in the meantime, we do what we can. We do the basic, food and IMDb credit, but we also try and give everyone a physical copy of their work. I know it's old fashioned now, but it's still at that time we were still doing that. We'd probably do the next thing, we would find a different way to do it. And also giving people demos in a timely manner. We know stuff for their demo reel is going to take a little bit, so we do that. And then just paying for their supplies. surprisingly, some people don't want to pay for just like, hey, the makeup person's going to use makeup. Are you paying for the makeup, or they use it from their kit and you have to pay for that? Are you paying for the disposable stuff like that? That some people don't even think about paying for that basic stuff. They think just
Right.
people come out, drive 30 minutes, sure, do whatever for a movie, paying gas, paying basic stuff. We can't do everything, but trying to figure an even balance.
Right.
Yeah, because the way I look at it is, I understand what you're saying, Monique, about that you don't necessarily are proud of the fact that you've got people working for free and stuff, and I understand where you're coming from, because in a perfect world, we want to pay everybody. Everybody should be paid for their time and services. But the way I look at it, when you're an indie, I myself, to this day, still go and help other people on their sets. I've helped Austin on his set. I've helped other people on their sets, whether it's behind the camera or in front of the camera, and never expect to be paid. Part of it's because I enjoy the exposure. Part of it's because I enjoy going there and networking with other filmmakers. I enjoy going on other people's sets so I can watch how they do things to see if there's ways that I want to be able to incorporate in my own films. But the bottom line is that when you bring other people on your set and you're not paying them, whether they're extras or whether they're volunteering with your crew or whatever, you want to make sure you take care of them on set. You want to make sure they have a good time. You want to make sure they get fed. They've got plenty of water. And like you said, you want to make sure they've got footage for their reels. You want to make sure they get the experience that they wanted to, because these people, the creative people like they are eager to come out and work for free as long as they feel they're going to get something for their time. And you have to make sure you provide that for them. And as long as you do, to me, I just enjoy making movies.
Yeah, and that's one of the really great things about having Shelly on set, because a lot of her work, well, majority of her work comes ahead of time and after, because she's the producer. But when she can come on set, she was like the party person. So she just made sure that everybody had plenty of water, that we were taking the right breaks at the right time, because you
maybe annoying, so did not let you finish the scene that you needed. It's like, come on, you're 15 minutes past food time. I was a little bit of a crazy on that. I will admit I could have waited a little more, but
But at least everybody was really happy. And we always got such great feedback from people working with us about organization and just having a good time on set. And I think that's really important, especially when you can't pay them.
Yeah, you got to understand that you're not paying these people. So you've got to make sure that they feel that the time they've spent there was worth it and the time they spent there was enjoyable. Because if not, they're never going to come back. Not just that, but they're going to talk to other people too and say, hey, be careful, you're going on this person's set. They're going to run you like a dog, treat you like crap. And if you're not getting paid, why do it? So you want to make sure people enjoy the experience they have and the time they have on your set, or else you won't see them or anybody else for that matter again.
I have a couple questions here in the chat, but first of all, I want to say, Brenna, hello, and she also says, Rick, you just bleed filmmaking; it's in your blood.
I agree. Yeah, I've always told my mom, and she gets upset when I say this, but I say, if and when that day comes that I'm no longer here, I want it to be on a set, usually after I yell cut.
Oh, there you go. And also, for some reason, Brenna's comments are not showing up on my StreamYard, and she is over there at the Indie Horror Group. So, Brenna, if you go to either the page or the YouTube channel, I'll be able to see your comments over here in the StreamYard. For some reason, it just won't let me do that. But here, I got a couple questions from Howard, who says, I'm fairly new to the acting industry. How would I be able to audition for other horror filmmakers? Do you just go through Backstage or another site? And anybody can
Well, I was going to say, one thing that I do is I created a group called the Tampa Bay Filmmakers. It's got about 4,000 members right now. I definitely recommend joining that, especially in the Tampa Bay area. There's also so many other groups on Facebook. They're free to join, but a lot of times people will put their announcements in there. I approve auditions and casting calls and stuff every day on those different groups. So to me, that's a great way to network. It's a great way to go ahead and audition for people. And it's a great way to get involved in films when you don't really know a whole lot of people.
Right. Monique, Shelly, you guys want to add anything to that as far as where because you guys are more so behind the camera, but where do you find actors? What are the ways that these actors are coming to you?
Monique, you want to go first, or you want me?
Well, that's a simple answer because I agree with Rick
Yeah.
that Facebook has been the number one way that we have found other actors. The other thing is just speaking with other filmmakers and seeing their films and going to film festivals. We get a
Hmm.
lot of people coming up to us, hey, I really liked your film. If you're ever interested, here's my information. So I would say if you're just starting out, go to film festivals, local film festivals, and get to know the filmmakers because I think that'll help you stay in touch, and they'll let you know what's going to be the best way for you to sign up for
Right.
things.
The best avenue to take. Chris says there's nothing wrong with collaborating with others. If filmmakers pay for everything starting out, they'll never be able to afford to get started. It's about making long-term investment and making it worthwhile for everyone involved. It needs to be mutually beneficial. Great point. From all the shaking heads there, here I can tell that you guys agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I like Monique just said, film festivals. That's why I was telling you before
Yeah.
we brought the ladies on about seeing Shelley and stuff like that, and them at the different film festivals all the time because that's how you meet people. I met DeAndre Noir at T-Buff because my film had won an award there. He won an award for one of his films. They brought us over to take pictures, and while they were waiting and getting set up, he and I got into a conversation. I fell in love with the guy. Just his personality is just like. And after seeing him act, I'm like, I've got to work with this guy. So meeting him, we exchanged information, and when we made the clock, I had to have him involved. He did an incredible job. He's going to be in yard sale, and that never would have happened if you didn't go to these events, meet
Mhm.
people, talk with people, and converse because everybody's there and everybody wants to work.
Yeah, totally. Most people, if they're getting into this, depending on what point of life they're doing this, if you're getting someone maybe trying to get younger, you could definitely get it through college areas and just opening it up. But outside of that, like everyone said, not only the film festivals, but every community, every normal size state has at least 2 or 3 film challenges,
Mm.
which are quick, either, 24, 48, um, 2 weeks, a month, something like that, where you can get a lot of experience. And usually, if you go to some of those pre-events, they don't know what they're doing yet, but if they already know they have a person that can be available these weekends, you're more likely to get in something. Maybe not even a big role, but something, and that will get your first experience. So
No,
that's usually how we see it. We've even found people sometimes, not always as a main character, but usually we can find them for like an extra or something, and then that gets them the experience just to get their feet wet too.
Yeah, great points. And I want to make a point here before we get to on to some more of these comments. So and please, you guys, whatever you're listening on, post some questions in there if you have any. With the with Helvira on the Run, which was a short, I did a little voiceover, and I didn't ask for anything. I just wanted a copy. Sure, I got the credits and everything, and I got a hard copy, and that to me, that's still surreal. I'll pull it out and look, and oh man, look, there's Otis B. Dreads on the back, I'm actually on a DVD. It was very surreal for me. You would have thought I just won the a Golden Globe or an Oscar.
yeah,
I mean that's how much it meant to me. So
It's
I've
something
always
you
said,
can be showing off. I mean, not to
mhm,
be rude, but like here I actually did something. Like think about it. No matter what, your parents, your friends, all of them, they're gonna think this is amazing that you're involved in something that they
yeah,
can physically see. And it is
absolutely.
amazing because it takes a lot of work. Doesn't matter if it's in front of, behind, wherever. Once you've gone through it, you realize it's not easy. No part of it is. So
No.
and when you can see the end product, even if it's not perfect, you can see what came through it. And that's how why I can't get angry at like any of like a very low budget film or micro or no budget, if it's not perfect.
yeah.
Um, because at least I knew they put their heart in there. Now,
Absolutely.
bigger size, you give them more crap because they have plenty of money, but that's just life.
And that's
Right.
exactly what I've mentioned before with my film festivals. I've had some films that have been submitted to me that I'm really like, wow, they're just not very good. But I've always had that thing in me that at the end of the day, whether I enjoyed this movie or not, whether this movie worked for me or not, or I appreciate it or not, it doesn't matter. This person behind it put their time, their blood, sweat, and tears, their effort, money, whatever the case may be, to do it. I remember showing a movie that just really just I kept thinking like, wow, but I wanted to show it for them. Those people came out, their parents came out, their friends, their family, they all cheered and stuff like that and congratulated the guy after the film. And you can't help but smile at that because no matter what, they deserve their 15 minutes to get their film seen, their 15 minutes to show their what they can do and to be proud and stuff like that, because it's an accomplishment. It's not easy to make a film from beginning to end, and those people deserve that credit, whether it was your cup of tea or not. It was somebody's. There's a market for somebody, and no matter what, they did it. They deserve recognition for it.
Absolutely. Let me blow through some of these comments before I get backed up. Howard mentioned he just joined that Facebook group. I'm assuming the Tampa Bay group that you had mentioned. David, welcome. He says, thank you for having this on YouTube. You rolled your eyes, so it's got to be the hubby.
Yes, it is. It is.
I've been married for 23 years, so I recognize that eye roll. But thank you, David. You're very
Thank you,
welcome.
David.
Thanks, Dave.
Brenna says Brenna's finally here.
Hey, Bren.
She said word of mouth is faster than the speed of light, and that is true. Howard says thank you for his question there. This is Molly Zombie. Networking is one way, as you guys have mentioned, with getting involved. Just talk to this person, go to these cons. Meet some of these people. You can watch a lot of our shows, and all the guests that we've had on are very willing to talk to you, whether it be, through a messenger, if you have questions and you're wanting to get involved. I can't think of one guest that we've had so far that wouldn't do that. So that's one. You can watch the Indie Horror Junkie podcast.
Yeah,
or
that's the
listen.
one.
That's one way.
That what I would say about this, and just the one thing I'm liking, it's coming back again. For a little bit, it felt like, I don't know if it was before COVID or right around it or whatever. It felt like for Central Florida especially, which always has had a very strong indie scene for Tampa filmmaking, or Tampa Bay in general, kind of seemed like it, I don't want to say died, but was going very low. Like
Yeah,
for a
right.
while it was going very high, and then certain things, and then just kind of trickled. And I can really feel it coming back up again. Like just starting. It's still in the beginning, but it feels like, and it feels not only some of the veterans coming back, but this next generation has already gotten like things way ahead. So it's helping everyone, and everyone's enjoying the experience. And I think the more that we think of this like this community, like this family, and I mean, we're not only filmmakers, we're making horror films. I mean, we're making stuff that most people are like, oh, those people. They're making
Right.
genre films. Oh God, all they care about is blood and guts. They don't want any plot. They're whatever. They're just what they're good at. So, most people aren't that snobby, but they're still like, okay, I love you, my husband, but yeah, maybe not get the exploding head movie, something. But that's fun. That's
Right.
fun.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we're a community. So that's kind of I went all the way around just to say, we got to work together and keep things. And I think that's the one good thing about the Central Florida film community. Finally got
Absolutely.
to the point.
Chris has a question. What would be any of you guys? This is open to advice for aspiring filmmakers to lowering the cost and the barrier to entry to filmmaking. How do you do that?
Mo, do you want to go first, or you?
Well, I can say one thing, like going off of what Shelly was talking about, this newest generation of filmmakers, their films are actually looking a tons better than the films that we started off with. But I started off with like VHS, and then the little mini VHS and so forth. But they're entry into filmmaking is so much cheaper and higher quality right now. And I am so incredibly jealous because like I just bought a blogging or vlogging camera for like maybe $700 something, and it's far better than my 60D that I purchased a while back. But technology is so good right now. So even if you are getting a cheap camera, you're still starting off far better than a lot of us. And with the lights, the LED lights, they're so much cheaper now and so much easier to use than the lights that we used to use on set. They're easier to set up, which will save you a tons of time during filming, because time is essentially money, because you need to film in locations, you need to feed your actors and things like that. All of that is going to save time. So just know that right now, if you're starting off so much better than what we all started off with. But after we purchased the cameras, the lights, our biggest expense, honestly, was two things. One was food, which once Shelly started like cooking for us, it made things a lot easier and better because she could make a lot of food, bring it to set and feed all of us. And we actually get like a nice home cooked meal. So if you have like parents at home or a retired grandma, just like have them cook and it'll keep your cast happy. The other thing too is the other expense is just making horror movies. Effects, that is going to be your cost, just masks and makeup and gore and all that other stuff. And Shelly and I, we used to argue about that. That was like the number one arguing thing, because most of our budget just went into the special effects. And knowing that if you're going to be doing horror movies, it is something that you're going to have to consider, because especially horror movie fans, they like the practical things rather than just the digital effects. So make sure that you budget for that and for feeding your crew. Shelly, any last minute thoughts there?
What I would say also with the effects, no matter what you think the amount, it's going to be more. It's better when your first one not to be overly ambitious. Don't expect the head blowout. Do a basic one on the first one. It's okay to try things, and that's fine, but it's either going to cost a lot because you're going to mess it up, or have to take 20 shots because it's your first time and you don't know what angle and what all this stuff. So do something simple that if it needs to be redone, it's quick to clean up, it's quick to redo. Things like that. Think of the practicality of things. Something that's super easy, pre-planning. Just pre-planning things out helps out. I know some people just like to do I just show up on set and I kind of figure it out as I go, or don't want to make like a list for all the plans. But for us, we're kind of those people who work in corporate America. So we're very anal about our spreadsheets and all that. But for us, it's good because it's something we know there's going to be always these accidents or whatever happen. But if we can control the basic stuff, the things that are easy to plan, making sure, you've gotten costumes enough time that you've been able to check or measure or find them at a cheaper place instead of having to wait at the last minute. Figuring out certain things for a kit for makeup to always have, different things that you can figure out. And then like figuring out the timing. Monique's really good at storyboarding. Yes, is it annoying?
You just love my penis guns.
Yes.
What?
Sorry,
that was definitely not on the bullet point, but it is now.
Yeah. You want to tell the story about the penis?
Y'all, please, we're gonna have to cut you off, Shelly.
Hit the dump button. Hit the dump button. I got to admit, this is probably the first podcast we've had that I wasn't worried about the dialogue because of these ladies, and now I am.
Now you are. All right, tell us about the penis gun.
It's not as bad as it sounds.
It just looks that way.
Yeah, I was drawing storyboards for Powerpuff All Grown Up, and I was drawing a gun, and all of a sudden the crew just looks at this and they're like, "What the heck were you doing?"
Where's your head at?
Known as the penis gun.
It looked like the point she didn't have a barrel, so it kind of looked weird. And then it kind of had the squirt to be the blast. So for us, it's what it looked like. That's why we said it looked. And it was holding it in his hand, so we were but it was over his head, so we were really confused. So she had to explain that, and that's why. But outside that terrible memory, thank you, of the penis gun. The good thing is she could storyboard. She could go out and plan these things with her, you know, her husband at the time, who was our cinematographer. And then we would have different grips and people with helping out with lighting that would come on set, and we kind of do some marking. Monique loves to rehearse, and that is awesome. She'd even have like these intro where she would have like read throughs and getting people used to their background and stuff, just stuff to help people get into the 5, she'd have storyboard stuff. Sorry, I'm telling all the secrets, but really, she'd storyboard everything that was in her head, and then work with team members, either in the art department with the makeup or the hair or the costumes or the sets, or with the, like we said, camera, or different people. But it was able to come together because of the organization. And again, that
Yeah.
costs no money, just
Right. Yeah.
time.
Organization is the key, I guess, if you're going to take anything away from making your first film. Advice: organization is the key.
Yep.
Molly Zombie said she loved her first experience as an extra. She's definitely hooked now. Brenna says, when your art and creativity manifests, it's magical, and that's why we all do what we do. And they say that, hey, your vibe attracts your tribe, and maybe, your creativity spawns, and then next thing you know, you're attracting other creative people. And poor David, stupid
Oh
Facebook
my
bans.
God. I'm never going to never hear about this. He somehow, oh my God, him and his Facebook bans. I love my husband, but one, he posts all sorts of photos. I don't care about some like blood vampire stuff. I don't care. All that weird stuff, making memes. Really don't care, but he gets these little bans every so often. Well, this last time, the Joker decided to put up a meme as his picture and it of Liam Neeson, and that was like the final straw for Facebook. It's like, no, you're permaban. And now I've had to put like 3 posts on my Facebook page just to tell them where to find them. I was like, come on, my whole life is not about your Facebook page.
So he
They say,
keeps getting banned, yet Monique hasn't been banned for the penis gun?
I know.
We never posted it. That's the only reason.
Oh, I get it. Okay. I got you.
Brenna says, going back to the Central Florida indie scene, Central Florida peeps have been saying Tampa is beating them in the indie world, which is odd, and they don't know what happened either.
It's because we're here. That's why. Come on.
That's why.
Absolutely.
David, on a lighter
Oh
note,
my
says
God.
good or bad, and
This is turning into the David show.
anyone can make a movie these days
Okay.
with their smartphone.
Actually,
And
yeah,
That I was going to mention that. That's a great point, David. I was going to chime in when Monique was talking, because when she was mentioning about the different cameras and how much advantages and stuff people have today, I mean, they're making feature films with their iPhones these days. So yeah, you're absolutely right. They've got the equipment is insane. So I mean, they've got so many advantages that we didn't have back in the day.
and everything like it. We were lucky. We came in a time, well, we definitely did. Rick, I think you may have gotten some of it of film, so we never had to worry about using
I think
film.
Shelly just called me old there, but go ahead. Yeah, it's all
No,
right.
well, unless you were just on, I don't want to say shot on Shitio, but yeah, unless you did shot on Shitio for instead of doing stuff on film. I don't know. Maybe you were done that time period, so that's the in between. But
Mhm.
I mean, going from film to even like I said, shot on Shitio to you know the style we came up with, and
Mhm.
now it's come so far. It's just amazing how much with so little, like Monique was saying earlier. Now it's just really about your talent and your drive, because your imagination does not cause anything, and you having time to stay this and focus and being really passionate about it, again, can be all free. Doing all this is free. It's just your time and your commitment and how much you want to. So
and your creativity, and just like kind of what Otis was saying about, making sure you're able to have things put together. I mean, we just shot The Clock, and The Clock was a feature film. And when I worked with Chris Lato to do this, he told me his plan was, in his model basically, is to have just like maybe anywhere from 2 to 5 cast members, one location, and we shoot it in 5 days. Okay. But I'm a challenging person. I like to challenge everybody that I work with. Okay. So I had 32 cast members and 6 locations, but we still shot it in 5 days. And the only way that we were able to get that done was kind of like what you were saying, Otis, is that we had so much pre-production. We had everything laid out. Everybody knew what was going on. So the moment we got on set, we knew what we were doing, who was going to be there, what was going to happen. I even had call times. I was really proud of myself having staggered call times. So when people got there, within 30 minutes to an hour, they were in front of the camera doing their stuff and on their way out. If you don't do that, there's no way we would have got a feature film shot in 5 days with that much going on. So it's all about pre-production.
It totally. And like
doing,
sorry, I'll let you speak, Monique.
And doing those 48-hour film challenges will help you with getting better at your organization skills, because you have to be so organized, and also your improvisational skills. We were like you, Rick, we don't believe in playing it safe and just going 5 people. I still hear other filmmakers talking about one of the films that we made for the Action Film Challenge several years ago, because most people do exactly what you said. You only have 1 month to do this from beginning to end. Get 5 people, 1 location, blah, blah, blah. And so we ended up with like 20 something extras, all in zombie makeup and like all kinds of stuff. But it really does teach you how to organize your set properly. And you organize during the week, you rehearse, you meet online, you do everything. So when you get on set, you're just filming, because that is the other really big expense, is location. Even if you get it for free, you still only have so much time in those locations. So you have to not be discussing things on set. You have to just film.
Exactly. But then again, you always have the all fallback too of, when things just don't go right, don't worry about it. We'll fix it in post, right?
Oh my God. Oh my God, I hate that.
We got some fun challenges. Like for that film, one of our actresses, we started filming with her one weekend. And then on the following weekend, before that, she was like, yeah, let's go ahead and film it the next weekend. Everybody's tired. I'm like, okay, great. So we'll do that. Next weekend, she doesn't show up. And now we have to all of a sudden kill off her character who was supposed to survive and use one of the kids' mother, who was also blonde, and just kill her off. Pretend like it was the actress. You get to be really creative with those 48 film challenges.
And that's the thing with the end of filmmaking too, just kind of like what you touch on what you said previously. You've got to be able to be creative and think on your feet. So many opportunities as an independent filmmaker. You don't have the studio time. You don't have somebody in every single department. You don't have backups. You don't have any of that stuff. So sometimes you have to be creative and think on your feet. When we were making my Halloween Death Walks Among Us, we had a situation where I've got a house full of kids and I've got some actors that I've got to get off in 2 hours. So I've got 2 hours to shoot 5 scenes. And I'm like, there's no way that's going to work with this whole thing. So we sat at the kitchen table, we took 30 minutes, let them have their lunch, and we basically figured it all out to where instead of shooting 5 separate scenes, we're going to shoot all 5 scenes as one scene and see it through Michael Myers' eyes, kind of like an homage to the original Halloween. But we got everything we needed to get from all 5 scenes in that one shot, just following him with the camera and strategically moving everything around. And to me, it looks even better than what it would have looked like had we shot it. And we got it all done in time and got the people out. So to me, that's the essence of indie filmmaking, is be able to think on your feet and be creative, and creative thinking and stop problem solving. That's what indie filmmaking is all about.
Definitely.
And when you have hurdles, whether the unseen or unforeseen, things you can't control.
Correct.
You have to be that way, because as they say, the show must go on. But I think having those little hurdles will spark an element of creativity in the filmmaker, and probably everyone in the cast, because you have to make something out of nothing, basically, for lack of a better way of putting it. And that sometimes, like you said, will create something that was better than if you had twice the funding and twice the time.
You're
You
right.
tend to maybe get a little spoiled, if you're always crunch time, man, and you're thinking on your feet, you could turn out something pretty good.
Well, I'll give you the perfect example. One of my favorite movies of all time was Jaws. Okay. In
Mine
that
too.
movie, Jaws, they talk about that where they end up having to rewrite the movie while they're making the movie because the shark wasn't working. They had all
Right.
kinds of problems with the shark. So because of that, they had to rewrite sections of the movie and add more dialogue and more character pieces. And to me, that's what made the movie so great. Wasn't that it had an incredible looking shark and incredible looking scenes like that. It was the dialogue between these great actors and the way they played off each other. That's what made that movie great. And that never would have happened had the electronic shark would have been working right. So creativity is what really, I think, spawns some beautiful stuff.
And
And you gotta
go ahead,
remember,
Chuck.
I'm sorry, and you
No,
gotta
go.
remember at the end of the day, your first thing's not gonna be perfect. Well, same with these challenges. You're gonna try and go through and say, let me spend more time trying to figure out. Don't just give yourself a timeline. And even with your first thing, if it's not outside this, give yourself a break. Give yourself timelines for things. And it's okay to slip a little, but don't forget it and give up. Get yourself to a point where you think you can go as much as you can and then go to the next part. After a while, you'll see what it can come together, and then what you'll learn is what to do better next time. And as long as you can try and get through this and not make it overcomplicated, I know we all say just make a 2 minute thing or make a 7 minute simple thing, end up making a 20-page thing for 5 minutes, shouldn't be possible. Something with multiple scenes. Try and calm it back down. Try and do simple on your first one. You can still do something creative. It doesn't have to be just one room, but try something to get yourself done. And don't be too hard on yourself on your first one. It's always going to be the one that you look back and think, what the hell was I doing?
Right.
So, but it's what you learned from that first one.
Well,
Oh,
yeah,
but I love
it
great
has to
movies.
be it has to be a learning experience. I'm sorry, what was that, Monique?
I was telling Shelly, I love Great Misunderstanding. That was like our official first
Yeah, but
horror film.
what we found out, like our first, when we say our first original content, had writer, had stuff, all that stuff, and we came up with the idea. We thought we'd do this over a couple weekends. This thing took what, like 2 months to film on weekends after Halloween. We started, I think, on Halloween. We were still filming in like December. And then that took another 3 months to even get it something looking whatever. And I don't even know at what point. I know it was more 6 months, but I can't even remember anymore. But it took a while. But what we learned is, okay, what to try next, what to do differently next. And then we try to mess with different formulas on what worked and what didn't work for us. And sometimes we want to try something different. So we like humor mixed in, as you could probably tell from most of our stuff. We
Oh, yeah.
like that yeah, we like that a little bit, a lot, but we also sometimes feel like trying, something more dark or more deep in that. That's the one good thing, good or bad, depending on your mood. Some of the film challenges, because if there's, a genre or something, it challenges us really a lot. I think one of our favorite, or I think it's one of my favorite of our film challenges. I don't know about you, Monique, but it's the 48-hour My Sister's Shoes one. And I think between the planning, the conversation, how we were on tight, that the people involved were awesome, and we did as much as we could, and somehow it came together. I can't even explain how we got this 48-hour multi-scene with digital effects, originally scored with a pregnant editor who looked like she was out to here, was able to, and she came from Orlando to get some of the filming disc on site, and then we would send her the last one, and she was editing until like 7 in the morning. And that's what you have to do. You have to stagger. You have to have your beginning crew to kind of get you through and say, hey, there's that cutoff time, and then you let the writer and come up with the writers for the next part, and then like get through and let them write. More than likely, as long as they can get an outline before midnight that first night on Friday, you can kind of get art department to think what the hell to come up with, and then you go to bed till 8 and then try and see what the hell everyone came up with and film.
Right.
And it's crazy. And there's a lot of things you think you're going to be able to do this. It's always going to take longer, but you learn so much. And when I saw that final product, I was like, how the hell did we do this?
Yeah.
And it was a lot of love with a lot of people who killed themselves and differences for things we wouldn't think we would have shot. That fire little emotional scene at the park where every kid was playing Pokemon Go that year. And
Didn't we break into that park? I feel like we did.
We were there past
allegedly broke in.
Right. But we went in right when dusk was happening, and we were definitely there when it was much darker. But we were out by 11, and like I said, the Pokemon Go kids were still running around. Even then, I was like, "Damn, you guys, go home or something." But the fact we were able to do that, the fact that the editor had already started editing stuff on the first shift, and by the time we got the other stuff uploaded around midnight, she could do what she needed to. And then we had just tweaking stuff with, like, Monique has got the hardest because she's like very much in every part of the creative part more, and even in post, because we have such quick timelines. And you want to get it done so that way you're not going up there or uploading something flipping in the last 10 minutes.
Right.
That's nerve-wracking for everyone. And at the end, no matter what, you finished something. And it's going to be screened, which is amazing for most people. Even if it doesn't ever get an award, it's like, wow, you did something. And it's even more so because when you first do it, it's amazing. So I rambled again. I'm sorry. I'm in a very optimistic mood today. Monique's like, oh my God, is she ever going to shut up?
No, we can sit here and talk with you guys all night long. But in anything, because obviously we're getting ready to close out here. Is there anything that you want to direct people to? Anything you got coming up, whatever it is that you want to tell people about, or anything like that? Now's the time.
Yeah, we got off on a tangent. Forgot to mention Shock Reel Cinema Film Festival. It's staring me right in my face there. So why don't you take the next minute or two and tell us about that?
Well, to be fair, we just had it, so it's okay to. We got a year before, so it's okay not to plug it too much. It's okay, but I think with the Wicked Window fun stuff, it's going to be the exciting part. So we can go on to you, Monique.
So Shelly and I are still talking about where we want to go next. So in the meanwhile, I'm doing kind of like these weird one-shot kind of, or one-offs kind of things where it's more like TV shows. Like right now, I get to embrace my geek side and do exercise for geeks that stay at home. And so we're starting off with a Sailor Moon exercise.
Oh, wait. What are you dressed as, though?
Sailor Mars, of course.
Of course, your favorite.
And we're going to do an episode where it's Friday the 13th for leg day. And so we're going to pick different themes and dress the part and do some exercises. But we're also going to do things like Meals with Monsters, where we make a meal with a famous monster and just fun stuff like that.
Are you cooking?
Oh, no.
Do you want me to help
hosting.
with the? Oh, okay. Is Gian cooking, or do you need an assistant with the cooking part? I don't need to be the monster, but I can help make sure you don't burn anything.
Or it's going to be better if there's accidents. Oh, I don't disagree with her, by the way.
Oh, okay.
No. We're not trying to be mean. It was definitely not negative. She admits it. Her husband does the cooking, so she says it. And you have cooked some things, okay, but they're very pre-made.
Mm-hmm.
What's that the Friday the 13th leg day should be on the Indie Horror Junkie 13th issue.
Look at that, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Monique. Now that'll be fun. Actually, I do need to get back and exercise, and so maybe that would be the one that motivates me.
Well, definitely let us know about that. Keep us posted. We need to do a piece for you in the magazine as well. So when you get something together, let's put something out there. That'd be really cool.
Awesome.
All right,
you got got your YouTube channel down there, YouTube at Wicked Window Productions. So check that out. Thank you, ladies, for taking some time out and talking with us. And be careful with the
penis gun. Yeah. Right.
Thank you both so much for having us here, and Shelly for joining.
Oh,
Absolutely.
thank you guys. Again, like Monique said, she says it more eloquently, but thank you very much for having us. And we
Well,
love talking with you guys, and we love the horror community. So
absolutely. I consider you guys family, so it was an absolute pleasure having you on. So thank you.
Take care,
All right.
guys.
Take care.
Oh, what a fun bunch right there. I
That
thought we
was
were gonna get a
probably
little
the best
cat
time.
fight
Yeah.
with the food thing, but apparently
I know.
you know,
I looked up at the clock and thinking like, oh my God, the time is gone. I could sit there and talk with them all day. But
I
no,
know
they're
I
a fun bunch of
don't
creative people.
yeah, I didn't want to cut Shelly off. I was just gonna let her go. Who knows? It'd been midnight, you know.
That's right. And we'd have been fine with it. But
Hey, I could have sat here. I can just mute my mic and I can.
all right, brother.
Hey, man. Next week, let's talk about next week because I'm pretty excited about this one. Real quick, we have Jack Bremen. Unless I don't, I'm just going off the top of my head because I'm going right now to indiehorrorjunkie.com. Yes. So Jack Bremen, writer, director, editor, professional photographer. He's such things as The Web of Darkness, Haunted Happy Hour, and he's a fire eater. So that's where my questions are going. He's
Yes, I know. you're definitely gonna hit him up on that. That's fine. He's a really good guy. I've known him for 20 plus years. He cut his teeth. He made his first film with me, Web of Darkness. Now he's directing his own movies, and I directed him in Web of Darkness. And he just came here to Tampa to direct that movie Haunted Happy Hour and had me in it. So he got to direct me. So it was a lot of fun, and I hope to see that movie soon. So he's a really good guy, and we're gonna have a good talk with him.
That's right. And I want to thank everyone in the chat for joining us. A lot of good questions, a lot of good interactions and discussions. And hey, we like that. That's why we're here. So with that being said, Rick, we will see you
next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday.